The days are longer, the calendar is filling up, and I want to feel as good as this beautiful summer weather. That's why I've been loving Groons. It's one daily pack of gummies that covers my greens, vitamins, and minerals, and even has 6 grams of prebiotic fiber, so I don't need to juggle a complicated wellness routine on top of everything else. They taste amazing. They're easy to toss in my bag on the go. Plus, they're vegan, gluten-free, and HSA, FSA eligible for reimbursement. Save up to 52% off with promo code podcast at gruns.co. That's code podcast at gruns.co.
It's the Go Gopher Podcast with Mike Grimm, episode number 52. I am Mike Grimm, voice of the Golden Gophers, and we have a special football season recap this week with the winningest quarterback in University of Minnesota football history. Yes, it's Tanner Morgan. He'll join us. We have so much to talk about, so many memories for Morgan, including getting that big curtain call at Yankee Stadium last week, coming off the bench, one final chance to lead the Maroon and Gold, and it ended in a Pinstripe Bowl victory in New York City. Morgan holds so many Gopher passing records, both for a season and a career. His career now at Minnesota is over. He's accepted an invite to the Hula Bowl. He's hoping to get a shot at professional football. We hit on all of that in the Go Gopher Podcast. Our Go Gopher Podcast is presented by alumni-owned Sunbelt Business Advisors and True North Mergers and Acquisitions. If you're a business founder planning to exit your business, start by contacting Sunbelt Business Advisors and True North Mergers and Acquisitions. Sunbelt serves more businesses up to $5 million in revenue than anyone, and True North M&A serves companies with revenues up to $150 million. Get a confidential, no-cost, no-obligation business valuation started today. Hey, make the most of your life's work. Visit sunbeltminnesota.com or tnma.com today. We're also glad to have Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union with us on the Go Gopher Podcast. Affinity Plus has been a longtime supporter of Golden Gopher Athletics. You can find out more at affinityplus.org/Go Gophers. They sponsor our player profile feature with Tanner Morgan today. Our podcast is also sponsored by State Farm agent Tony Hoagland at ChamplinInsurance.com. We invite you to subscribe to the Go Gopher Podcast. You can also go back and listen to any of the Go Gopher podcasts from weeks gone by. Last week, for example, we were in New York City, and we talked with new Kent State football coach Kenny Burns as he was preparing to coach his final game with Minnesota in the Pinstripe Bowl as running backs coach. He had a lot of great things to say about Muhammad Ibrahim. Go back and listen. I know you'll enjoy the conversation. This week, it's episode number 52 with one of our all-time favorites, Tanner Morgan. He joins us next.
I'm Clay Geary, walk-on turned scholarship wide receiver for Gopher football.
And I'm Ben Utek, U of M alumni, Super Bowl champion, and Tony Dungy Uncommon Award winner. We understand championship culture, which is why we're part of the True North family of companies.
True North invests in only elite teams, like the champion team at Sunbelt Business Advisors. With more brokers, buyers, and offers, Sunbelt gets owners 15% more than the market average.
Learn more about this True North company at sunbeltminnesota.com.
Hi Gopher fans, this is your State Farm agent Tony Hoagland. We are looking for diehard Gopher fans to join our sales team and our internship team. If you want to join a winning culture and become a good neighbor today, head over to our website at ChamplinInsurance.com and apply online today.
It's episode number 52 of the Go Gopher Podcast, which I guess if it's weekly means we're right on our 1-year anniversary of when this started. And we're going to talk with Tanner Morgan, Golden Gopher quarterback. And I want to say you were on the second or third ever show. Maybe it was a first handful. I know that. That was on a Zoom.
Yeah.
So this is probably your fourth or fifth appearance here. You're like one of our regulars.
Yeah, reappearing guest, Honored to be here.
Well, good to see you as always. And while the Gopher football season is over, and quite literally your career has ended with Minnesota, you now are embarking on some new stuff, which we're going to talk about. But real quickly, before we get down the road on that, just quickly tease us a little bit. You've got the Hula Bowl, which is not in Hawaii anymore because they tore their stadium down.
Yeah.
But Orlando is a pretty good consolation prize from Hawaii. You'll be playing in that, as we tape today is a Friday, so you'll be playing in that a week from tomorrow, is that right?
Correct, yeah. So January 14th, and then I'll be in the NFLPA Bowl, which is January 28th. So kind of a busy January, but I'm excited to have this opportunity and, get to keep doing what I love to do right now. So that's a blessing for sure.
Just keep going at it. And that game, the NFLPA game, that's in California. That's at the Rose Bowl. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely a cool opportunity. And a game that, Jack Emmons played in last year and get to see what he's doing for the Titans right now. And it's pretty awesome. I know he was only a Gopher for 1 year, but definitely made an impact here. And, undrafted and has been active the last 4 or 5 weeks. Yeah. It's pretty cool. So cool to see his journey. I just wanted to shout out Jack. It's my guy. So, I'll definitely be wearing a 50 Titans jersey coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, he did have an impact, no question. Yeah, he had an interception not last week, but I think the week before, right? Which was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, he had a little tip ball and Gophers find the ball. So
it's awesome. It's great. All right, well, let's talk about your last game as a Gopher. So it's at Yankee Stadium, and I want to talk a whole bunch about it because it was cool to watch you guys play on that field, although the field was not the greatest in terms of being able to get your traction. I know that, literally, not just a figurative like, hey, they never could get traction. No, literally you couldn't get traction, but it was, obviously leading up to that game, Ethan was the starter. You were preparing. Hopefully you were going to get a shot at some point, and then the injury happens. And you kind of, I've been using this as kind of a baseball vernacular since you were on a baseball field, but you kind of got a curtain call out of the whole thing, right? Which was pretty cool, I thought. And you got a couple of touchdown passes. It was a nip and tuck game, and you helped the team get a win. I mean, that had to just be, I don't know if unexpected is the right word, but, as you're preparing for that bowl game, who knows? And you end up being the guy that gets a couple of touchdowns and you win the game. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, I think when you look at, from my perspective, leading up to that, obviously being able to just practice again was a blessing, because I was out for a while with, the injury from the season. And, I was in a different role there for a long time and more of a mentoring, coaching, and still leadership role. And so to be able to practice and put on pads was a pretty good feeling. So to be able to, go through the practice week and then, I was needed and went in there and guys made some plays and definitely cool ending for me for my Gopher football career because, it's something that I'm forever thankful for. And, now I'm an alum, which is pretty wild.
Crazy, right?
After 6 years, I guess, usually that's after 4 or 5, but I made it to 6. So I definitely won that one. But yeah, it was it was one of those things where you just got to be ready for the moment and enjoy everything, soak it all in. And again, I enjoyed every moment of it, and I'm thankful for the ride, and glad that I was ready to go in there and execute, and fun to just end with a win. And definitely in a historic stadium because that stadium was pretty sweet.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I want to talk about that too. But back to you going in and getting prepared for that because you had – when's the last time you were in that role where you – because really the only reason you weren't playing was you suffered the injuries. And so Ethan now is took over late in the season, played the final 3 games, filled in for you at Nebraska, filled in for you at Illinois earlier in the year.
And played great at Wisconsin.
And Big Ten Freshman of the Week, which was
he played great. A lot of really good football, and I think what was cool is he got better each and every week.
Yeah,
as the learning opportunities came, he just continued to get better and continued to find ways to, put the team in the best situation to win football games. And he's going to continue to do that in the offseason. He's going to just keep getting better and better. And the dude's super talented, and that quarterback room is going to be fun next year with him. Cole Kramer, who's a very talented quarterback too, super smart. And then, obviously with Jacob Knuth and Drew Vioto. So it's going to be pretty fun quarterback room for the future Gopher football.
Yeah, they've got some talent there. And I want to ask you, too, I keep saying we're going to keep getting to stuff, but there's so much on the docket. I want to ask you about Ethan at some point, but I wanted to ask you about going into that game. When's the last time you actually were preparing for a game as a backup? It had to be freshman year?
2018 against Nebraska. When Zach got hurt, and then I think I started every game until after Illinois of this year.
So what was that like? Because it's a weird situation too. Because it's not a real. I mean, it's a real game. It matters. 9 wins matters. It's a bowl, but it's not like hey, you win and you go to Indy or whatever. So it's kind of a
For me, it was different because, I was trying to savor every moment with my teammates, coaches, and do that as well. But more importantly, you have a task at hand, you got to win the game. So for me, I wanted to pass on any knowledge that I hadn't, yet talked about with Ethan, Cole, any of the guys. And so for me, it was kind of like a mentoring thing, but also making sure that I was ready, if I needed to go in and play football. So it was a cool structure and cool balance. And I think I proved to myself that, I can be ready if needed, coming in cold. And it was fun. Like I was just like, all right, here we go.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing, right? So you're on the sidelines, and who knows what the plan's going to be at some point, whether you're going to get an opportunity to go out there. So then Ethan gets hurt, and I suppose it just kicks in. Like, okay, I hope Ethan's okay, but I got to get a football here and start throwing, right?
Yeah, for sure. Up. I mean, it's one of those things that as soon as you see the guy laying on the ground, it's like, all right, toss me the ball. Let's go. I got to get ready to go out there and execute. And, that's definitely sucks when you see somebody on the ground like that. But you have to be ready. It's the cliche, but next man up, right? You have to be ready. If you're needed to go win the game, you have to be ready. And I'm thankful that, some of the certain things that it might have appeared to be with his injury seemed to not be the case, because that would have been pretty devastating. But, seeing him come back out there was cool too, to get to talk to him.
The boot on, and it looked like he was at least, not, I'm sure he was disappointed, but also he was hamming it up on the sideline.
Yeah.
And that's what Guardsy was reporting anyway, and that was, I think, a relief to everybody that, okay, right. Maybe,
definitely.
This isn't going to be a huge issue here, hopefully. Right?
Yeah, definitely. Because that, you hope for the best in that situation. And, if you
bad thoughts can pop in your head when you see,
very,
like you say,
very
guy,
quickly.
We see a guy laying there, on a field like that where the traction was not great.
Yeah, it was not great at all. So, but you just got to manage and find a way. And so, thankfully, seems to be not the case of kind of what initially people thought, which is very good news.
So you get in there. It was your first action since Nebraska. So what is that, about 6 to 7 weeks in terms of game action?
Right.
And much of that time you weren't practicing either because of the injury. So did it snap right in? Did the game seem fast? Did it seem slow for you? Was it like getting on a bike?
Yeah, it just kind of felt like playing football, to be honest with you. And that's pulling from my experiences. I had a lot of different experiences in college, from being a backup to, starting a bunch of games, being in every kind of situation, getting out of ruts, getting out of all kinds of different things. So for me, it was just kind of like, all right, just go win the game. Yeah. That's kind of all you got to do. And, it was fun to be out there with the guys.
And it wasn't too long. You fired a pass right into the bucket to Daniel Jackson for a touchdown. And I'm guessing that had to, one, obviously it was great, but two, for you coming in off the bench to get one of those relatively early. Was that the first drive, or was it the next?
It was the first drive that I was in.
That you're in. So you end it with a touchdown. That had to just,
it was pretty good. And I think we went up, that put us at 14, which was pretty awesome. And then, he made another great play later in the game. On the little jailbreak screen there. So, he had a great day, and, he's continued to get better and better throughout the season. And, the future is so bright for him. And I'm excited to see, him, with the touches he gets, how much better he gets, because he's super committed.
Yeah.
He's very talented too. He's one of the shiftiest guys that I've seen in my time here, in terms of just lateral quickness, being able to set up routes to create separation and get open. So, his future is really bright, and I think he showed that against Syracuse, and he's just going to keep getting better and better.
The weeks he was healthy, he was productive.
Yeah.
He had the big week in Michigan State after Crab went down the next week, and you hit him for a couple of touchdowns that day as well. Yeah. I agree with you. He's shifty too. Like, the other thing he is, and just my observation is, and that touchdown on the jailbreak was that he's almost like a running back once he catches, because he got hit and he just bounced off and just keeps his balance. He doesn't. It doesn't look like he's going to tip over.
Yeah, definitely. He's one of those guys that, the old thing, he's hard to bring down.
Yeah.
It's true, because he's such a good athlete. He can keep his balance in different situations and continue to fight. And I think you saw that a lot in the season too, where he'd catch a ball, bounce off a tackle, get 10 more yards.
Which was the one game where he bounced it at home down the sideline?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
I can't remember who it was against, but that was like a 50 or 60 yarder.
Yeah, I think it was It might have been Purdue.
Yeah.
No, Purdue, he caught the dig,
Yeah.
went up and got it and split it and basically almost took it to the house.
Yep.
It was a big explosive play, but yeah, he's talented and he's got a really bright future for sure.
Yeah, I like the looks of him. And then and there's others, certainly. Lemeke Brockington came on strong. How about that? How about that play at Wisconsin? Not to go totally back, but Ethan makes the throw, and all of a sudden he just runs by everybody.
Yeah, he's got some serious speed. And so when he caught it on the run, it was kind of like especially for the coverage they were in, they were not expecting that glance route to go in there and do a cloud coverage, so that they had a corner in the flat and a safety over the top, which usually isn't a good look for that. But the way they were playing it, because we hit the hole shot earlier, Ethan ripped it in there and he just caught it and split the middle of the field, and he was gone. Yeah,
and what a fun day that was to get the axe for sure. So you win the game. You kind of take the curtain call, a victory lap, so to speak, in your final game. Has it sunk in now a little bit that one, one, it was awesome to win, but two, it's now a new chapter really for you here?
Yeah, it has. And I think for me, not playing the last couple of weeks, I had more time to reflect and be grateful than maybe I would have if I was, still doing what I was doing in a starting role and not being injured and out of practice and all that stuff. So I had more time to reflect. And man, I just thought about how many people that changed my life throughout my time here, from coaches, players, people at Athletes in Action, different people who support the program that I got to meet over the time, talking to you guys, talking to, all the different media, Daniel House, Ryan Bernsey, man, it's crazy because it feels weird because, I talked to you guys for so long. For me, it's just a heart full of gratitude and an excitement for what's next. And I think after 6 years, it's about time.
Ready for
people are probably ready for what's next. But I'm thankful, man. I can't think about it without smiling and being thankful for everything. And, I'm, again, forever Gopher and now a proud alum. And I got to say that pretty quickly. And it makes me pretty excited.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned to Guardsy, he interviewed you right after the game on the field as they were getting ready for the stage ceremony there in the Pinstripe Bowl post game. When he asked you, it's probably unfair to ask right after the heat of the moment, and you mentioned, and it's a little cliche-ish, but I think in your case it's true because you think about it. You said you got here as a kid and you're leaving as a man, and not only that, you're married now. So literally. I mean, you're literally off into your next stage, and so it really was. You came in as an 18-year-old.
Full transformation. I enrolled early as a 17-year-old kid out of Kentucky.
17,
yeah. And leaving as a guy who's grown a lot, really truly became a man, and became I found really a firm relationship with God here, and I met my wife, so that's pretty significant. And, definitely not a cliche because I was a kid when I got here, and I definitely left a man, and all my hair behind definitely shows that too. So,
yeah, but that you lived. I mean, usually cliches are cliches because they're generally true, but you really did. You did get here as a kid and leave as a man. A couple of final thoughts on the trip to New York City, and I've been around you guys and other previous teams at bowl games, and sometimes depending on where the team stays, it's you're isolated. Like last year, I thought Arizona was great, good weather, but there's nothing much around where they stayed. It was, you guys had beautiful.
The resort was beautiful,
awesome.
But it was, I mean, you're catching Ubers to go other places and stuff. But
and even Tampa, experience. Which was great. But I know even talking to Mariano, he wants to go eat.
Yeah.
And he's like $50 Uber rides or $60 Uber rides just to get somewhere. Well, the beauty of New York is you're a 3-minute walk from any kind of food you want. Right?
Yeah.
It looked to me like you guys had a ball.
Oh, it was awesome.
Did you have fun?
Yeah, it was a great experience. And what's interesting, too, is when you look at it in terms of how many days we were there, even going back to Detroit, I'm pretty sure it was the same amount of time as Detroit. So it was shorter in the amount of days compared to Tampa or Arizona. Mm-hmm. But it felt like we were there for a long time because we were constantly doing really cool things. Riquettes, we saw the... which to me, the first thing I thought was, this is where the draft was at for forever.
Yeah.
Radio City Hall. I'm like, this is where the draft was at for so long.
You're right.
The
NFL draft was there.
I sent a video to my brothers, like, you notice this? And he was like, no, it just looks like a stage. And I was like, oh, well, it's where the draft was at.
Before they started parading it around in different cities, it was always there.
Always right there. And
so you're there Christmas night to watch the Rockettes Christmas night show. I mean, what a once-in-a-lifetime shot, right?
a beautiful opportunity. Then we all, walked around, got to see, some of the iconic sites of New York City. And, it was pretty cool because there was always something to do. Guys were always doing stuff while keeping the main thing and trying to win the game. So
see hockey at Madison Square Garden
at MSG. It was cool, man. I mean, some bucket list things for sure. And then, one of the coolest things for me too was we were, in Yankee Stadium, they gave us all a jersey with a number on it. And
guess what you got?
I got Derek Jeter.
Yeah.
And Derek Jeter was like my favorite baseball player of all time, still is. And so we were out there.
So you're wearing on the field on Wednesday, the walkthrough the day before, a Yankees number 2 jersey, which is yours.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm wearing Jeter's number right now. We got to see Monument Park, and then me and Josh Ani and one of our trainers just started, Joe, who's great guy.
Joe's the best.
You should get him on the podcast.
I know. We've talked about it. That would be awesome. Yeah, we've talked about it before. Yeah.
He has some of the deepest relationships with guys on the team and anyone in the program. And
so you guys, I watched you guys. I came over and talked to you for a minute.
Yeah, we were playing a catch. Yeah. And that's the first time in my life in a long time that I felt like a 10-year-old kid.
Right.
I was like, man.
Like you're back in Little League.
Yeah,
right?
I'm playing catch at Yankee Stadium with two, people I've spent a lot of time with, people that I love, wearing a Derek Jeter jersey, like basically where second base would be.
Yeah.
Like, how cool is this?
It's great.
And I was
unbelievable.
I just reflect back to that, and I kept the ball too.
Yeah. Well, who was a smart guy to remember to bring a baseball at all to the stadium?
Well, kind of there was some baseballs laying around.
You thought you dug one up?
I might have put it in the bag. Sorry,
yeah.
Yankees.
Yeah.
They can lose a ball or two, but no, it was just so cool to do that and to be able to have that experience. So, and guys, there was a bunch of guys playing catch, looking at all the historic Yankees and all kinds of stuff. So it was a really cool experience.
Day of the game, Mariano brought his glove to throw the ball around in the pregame a little bit. Yeah, he brought his glove. Is what he told me. I didn't see it, but that's what he said. He brought his glove. So, but watching you guys throw, and I think I talked to you at that moment, and you said, it felt like we were in Little League, and you said you loved baseball growing up.
I loved it.
Right?
I loved baseball. So I played. When I was a kid, I was always playing a sport: baseball, basketball, and football, obviously. And then when I got to high school, I kind of realized that football is what I wanted to do, and had to kind of shift away because the high school I was at, the coach wasn't going to let me participate in spring football, so that was kind of it. But I was talking to actually the guy who was the high school baseball coach at Ryle. And I was texting him, and I was like, man, I still wish I would have played baseball my junior year. And he just got a good laugh out of it because every time I'd see him in the hallway, he'd be like, dude, you got to come out. Like, you got to play.
Were you shortstop?
No, I played third. But I was definitely better in the middle infield.
Yeah.
But I was a great hitter.
Really?
Yeah. I used to love going to the cages with my dad, going to like those hitting sessions, where the guys would be throwing you BP and stuff. And like that was, for me as like a 10-year-old kid, that was like the best. Yeah. Going to a hitting session at night, hitting 100 balls, in that transition. So, in a different universe, maybe I would have continued playing baseball. Who knows what could have happened? But I'm pretty proud of the decisions I made and kind of how my career went. Yeah,
you've done well. Speaking of Ani, in an earlier interview earlier in the season, we got talking, and I know he was a St. Paul guy, and so my son is his age. Are you the same age? No, I'm
1 year
older. Yeah. So my son is his age, and so he played baseball coming up through youth all the way up through varsity. And I remembered we always played this team called Hightower in youth baseball, and they were based in St. Paul. And they had one dude, they weren't the greatest team, but they had one dude that was good, and we faced him 2 or 3 times. And so we got talking before the interview because he said, I don't know how we even got on it. And he's like, yeah, I was on that team. I said, did you play center field? Yeah, quite a bit. And I'm like, yeah, I think you homered off us a couple times. He's like, I probably did. So he could play ball too. Yeah. He at that time, he was not linebacker size. Right. I'm talking like 12, 13 years old.
That's crazy.
But it was pretty cool. So when I saw him throwing the ball with you, I had to go say, I've seen that guy throw a baseball before for sure. But
that's the guy I was intentionally walking. 7th grade, Little League.
Yeah, I'm that jerk in the third base coach or in the dugout saying, hey, we're going to walk this guy because he's the only guy that can hit. No, they were a decent enough team, but he was definitely the standout guy on that team. But and they had some good, he could run and do it all. But it was so cool to watch you guys there at Yankee Stadium. And I had written down here the Jeter jersey, so I'm glad you brought it up, which I thought was a nice touch for the Yankees. They gave all you guys a jersey with the button down front And then it matched your football number. So you got Jeter, and who got Aaron Judge?
Dragon Kesich.
Yeah,
so he was Aaron Judge. And I mean, like that's so cool.
Yeah.
And it was awesome too because we got to be in the Yankees locker room.
Yeah.
And the jerseys were hanging up, so it felt pretty surreal when you walked in there.
So I don't know if you saw this once you guys left. So the clubhouse, obviously it's nice, and there's big lockers and there's signs, and then they kind of put up some temporary ones in front that you guys would use because I don't think they wanted you guys to throw your football gear into Aaron Judge's locker room or in his locker or what have you. But we were still there doing we had some meetings for broadcast stuff, and some of the Syracuse players, they must have been getting there after or before, and they started to walk in because they wanted to see it.
Locker,
and so Daniel Ift, who's the great ops guy who God bless him for bowl season, what he has to go through to get you guys everywhere you need to go in New York. But at one point, he's just like, it's over there. Like these guys kept walking by. It's over there because he knew exactly what they were wanting to look for. That was Judge's clubhouse locker room for sure. But and again, it was a great experience. You guys had fun, but the footing issue, how bad was that out there?
Yeah, it was – I'll say this. I think it was a lot better than the situation which happened in Arizona, which, I mean, you never expect it to rain in Arizona.
When it has a roof.
Yeah, so –
and they decide to open it. Yeah. That was bizarre, the whole thing.
Yeah, that was crazy. But, there's beauty in it, obviously. And then I think the grass, it was really good. It just ended up being to the point where you cut it up and it stayed hard that it's kind of hard to really dig down into it.
It was frozen, right?
Yeah, and there's really nothing you can do about that. It's unfortunate, but, they did a great job. The Yankees organization did a fantastic job putting the bowl game up, doing everything else. And, it's just one of those things, should have won another game. Yeah. Should have won 2 more games, woulda, coulda, shoulda, that kind of thing. But, just glad that no one left with any serious long-term injuries or anything like that. So that's definitely a blessing.
Second quarter, you got to hand the ball off to Muhammad Ibrahim, and he became the all-time leading rusher in school history. What was that moment like, and what was it like playing with Muhammad Ibrahim for your career here?
It was the best. I mean, that guy's one of my best friends, and again, like you look at him when he came into the U, probably when he signed, you're probably like, oh, cool, we got a good back. Mm-hmm. You didn't think what his career would be when you looked at him. You looked at his measurables, you looked at what it would be. You're like, there's no way this guy's going to be, in my opinion, well, the records say it, the best running back. One of the best players in this school that's had so many great running backs, DT, all kinds of guys, you know, and he's arguably one of the best players in Gopher history.
And statistically, there's no debate.
Correct.
I mean, that is
statistically
not
he has
debatable.
Every single category, right? And there's been a plethora of fantastic running backs that have played here and had a fantastic careers in the NFL, and guys that have made a real impact still to this day, to this community, obviously with DT and everything that he does. So I think that, man, I'm so lucky to call him a friend and also to be able to hand him the ball off for all that time. But it's just such a great story of resiliency. When he, last year when he tore his Achilles, he probably was on pace to do the same thing last year, head to the NFL, have a great career, but wrestled with a lot of stuff and lonely kind of that injury recovery. Yep. And he grinded. I mean, he was in the training room all day, every day. And to see what happened as a result, the fruit of his labor, pretty sweet to see. And, this guy's, I can't wait to see him at the next level and what he's going to do. And, I said this in the post-game press conference. I'll say it again. I'll stand on this hill to the day that I die. If it doesn't happen, I think his number should be retired today. Yeah. And I don't think anybody should ever wear 24 at the University of Minnesota ever again. That's how strongly I feel his legacy is as a Gopher. But even if you look past that, how important he was to what we've done the last 6 years. Yeah. And putting Gopher football in where it's at. He left his legacy is firm. His legacy's firm. There's no debating that. And he changed a lot of lives along the way too. So I think that 24 should, I don't think anyone should ever wear it again. Yeah. That's how strongly I feel about that. And it's not just because I love him. He's one of my best friends. That's because I'm looking at it as a fan perspective and a guy who interacted with him every day and saw what he meant to the program and everybody around him. So, Yeah, I'll stand on that hill. I'll talk to President Gable, Coyle, whoever wants to talk. I'll lead that charge each and every day.
Well, a week ago, last week before it was Monday of game week, I interviewed Kenny Burns for this very podcast. He was our guest on episode 51, and I asked him about Mo, and I said, what has it been like coaching Mo? And without hesitation, he says, and this is a guy who has already been named the head coach at Kent State at this time. Obviously, he's there now and getting everything going. And what a bright future, 39-year-old head coach. I mean, he's gonna rise through the ranks, continue to do that as he has. But I said, what has it been like coaching Mo? And without hesitation, he's like, it's been the greatest joy of my coaching career. And now you think about that, and that's I think similar of what the comments you have in terms of him being a teammate and a good guy and impactful. And even Kenny mentioned that you never know. I said, did you know right away how good he was going to be? And he's like, you really never know. And he said when he figured it out as he worked through his freshman year, and you did the same, right? Never played it down in a real game, and spent your whole true freshman year on the scout team. He was named Scout Team Player of the Year, and you were the guy that had to be the other team's quarterback every week, right? And he said that when he saw how hard he worked between freshman and sophomore year after never even really getting a chance. I mean, there were some good running backs on that 2017 team as well. Anyway, he said that's when he thought it could be pretty good. And then he said the Georgia Tech game, he's like, it just became a different deal at that point. And you remember that game, of course, in Detroit, where that he found something like that. Where it was just continuous. His whole career was spent with the radio guy saying it's a handoff to Ibrahim. It's a gain of 8. Yeah. And the radio guy thinking that should have been a gain of 3. How did that work? And that's not a knock on the offensive line in any way, because it was a really good line, but he just had this knack
to make it go
of just finding stuff and going.
And I think that is one of those things that, when you're an offensive play caller, you're always trying to get in second and advantageous positions, third and advantageous. When you look at the third down, if you're 3rd and 10 plus, your chances of actually converting are really slim. So it's one of those like, hey, let's not turn the ball over. Let's try to get this first down by all means necessary. We're going to go out and execute, but if we don't get it, hey, punting is better than interception. Yeah. But if you're in the 3rd and 3 to 6 range, and even better than that, 3rd and 1 to 2, your percentages, if you just play the math, are way higher of converting.
Right.
So when you look at first down and how important that is, when you give the ball to Mo and it's supposed to be a 1-yard gain or stuffed, and he makes it 3 or 4, and that turns 2nd and 10 or 9 to 2nd and 6, 2nd and 5. I mean, it's a huge advantage. And I don't think the common fan understands that enough of how advantageous the things that he did in his career, made things go by just making those runs work. And that's because he just has a incredible balance and vision, but also because he studies and knows every blocking scheme so well and understands, oh, boom, I'm going to go here.
Yeah.
Oh, the shelf's closed. I'm going to hit it frontside A gap. I'm going to, you know what I mean? Like, guy's just special.
Yeah. And even to take it a step further, my observation with him too is if you watch football at the highest level in the NFL, and if it's 3rd and 2 or longer, they never hand the ball off. Right. Ever. In the NFL, you watch 3rd and 2 is not a handoff in the NFL anymore. It's a shotgun or a pistol. Now they might hand it off, on a read option if you got Justin Fields or Lamar Jackson or something to make it a run.
Right.
How many times did you on 3rd and 4 or 3rd and 5 or in the record-breaking run 3rd and 10 and you got 12?
Yeah.
Hand it off. I mean, to keep the sticks moving on 3rd and 4 is huge.
Right.
And it had to be 2 or 3, 4 times a game where nobody does that. Nobody. I mean, in the NFL, where there's the smartest coaches and the best players and the greatest analytics and everything, if it's 3rd and 3, it's not a handoff ever.
Right.
And you guys on 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, here you go. Get us a first to move the sticks, and we'll just keep the drive going. And 8 minutes later, you got a touchdown.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it goes back to like depending on the formation, and you have the runs that you like, the passes you like, and a lot of times when you get into 3rd and 7 plus. Defenses are either they're bringing their exotic pressures, trying to get you off, make the quarterback think, maybe even force an interception. But they're either doing that or they're playing zone coverage. A lot of teams are going to play zone. They're going to play the sticks. They're going to play all kinds of their different, third down defense, which is totally different than 1st and 2nd down. And so, there was, I can't remember what game where it was like 3rd and 19 or something. And we ran just a stretch outside zone to the right, and he got like 25 yards for the first time.
That was Wisconsin, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think he did it against Wisconsin, and he might have even done it earlier in the year too.
Yeah.
Just outside zone, boom. And he, takes it because, again, you get 1 or 2 perimeter blocks, and then he's going to set it up and go. And, again, putting the percentages in your favor, Mo Ibrahim does that for you.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about Tanner Morgan's records, too. Almost every single season record you hit in 2019, and pretty much most every career record you also hit. Probably would have had yards if you didn't miss the handful of games here.
Yeah,
but
it's all good.
What's that mean to you, too? Like, I got to think if, and I know you're a humble guy, but there has to be a sense that you can puff your chest out knowing if you're going to thumb through the media guide, your name's scattered all over it in this program.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm definitely proud of my time here and then the things that I was able to do on the field, but it brings me more joy, kind of the mentorship side of the guys that, hopefully I got to help change their lives just as so many players and a ton of my coaches changed my life. And that brings me a far greater joy. Just a little story of like, hey, you did this and, made my son's day and now he's a huge Gopher fan or something like that. Like that stuff lights me up inside. That makes me really happy. And, being able to be a part of a team that won the most games and playing quarterback, I think, it's all about winning games at the end of the day. And, no matter what you do it. So I think being on a lot of really good football teams here over my, 4 or whatever years starting and, the other 2 years, I think it's really cool for me to say that, like, I won a lot of football games as a Gopher.
More than anybody as a quarterback.
Yeah, exactly.
The winningest quarterback in the history of the school.
That means a lot to me. And I hope if Ethan stays long enough to, I hope he stays 2 more years and goes 15-0, and they win the Natty 2 years in a go, and then he's the most winningest quarterback. Like that would be cool to me too, because that's I have a great relationship with him. But yeah, it's definitely something that I'm thankful for. And I bet if you said that when I walked in here that I'd be the winningest quarterback and go for history, you'd probably laugh at whoever said it. And the case is a lot different now.
Yeah, and all you did is gone out and won games, right?
Yeah. So it was fun, man. I was a part of a lot of good teams and a lot of good players. So it was a fun ride.
Yeah, it was. It was fun watching too. I can tell you that. We had the bird's eye view each week, so that was always amazing. You mentioned Ethan. That'd be great if you go 15-0 and 15-0, and then be the first pick in the draft or whatever it is. But how good do you think he can be? What do you see in him? And I know he had a nice tweet after the game, and I'm sure you guys had personal exchanges as well. But that quarterback dynamic is always one you're never sure. But I think you made it a point to make sure it's a good relationship there.
Yeah, I think every quarterback room I've been in here has been pretty cool.
Yeah.
Going back to Connor Rhoda mentoring me my first year, who had a huge impact on me and a lot of guys, that just left the program and guys before that too. And then, Zach Hennickstead and even guys like Johnny Santaga and Sam Pickering, who ended as a tight end, and
he got in on the victory formation. How about that? I missed it. I was mad at myself. I missed that. I saw Mo, and I did not see Sam. So I wish I missed it on the broadcast. I saw it later. Someone mentioned it, but that was cool.
Yeah, but I think just the quarterback rooms in general. Jacob Clark, Cole Kramer, just so many guys that you're just thankful that you get to spend time with them because you spend a lot of time together. And so that's always been pretty cool because guys always put their egos aside when they walked in the door, and that's really important. But I also think, for Ethan, he's so talented and his future, his potential is so high. And again, like people can tab that and, that's a lot of expectations, a lot of things, but he's the type of guy that's going to go to work every day and not really care what other people think and just keep getting better. And I think if he just continues to get better each and every day, his potential limit is very high, and I think he could play a long time in the league that plays on Sundays too.
Yeah, he's certainly got the physical skills. I mean, you can see just how he throws, and he's got some mobility as well. And now it's a matter of getting some, taking some hits and some, when the bullets fly, and then get your experience. And
for sure, and that's what's so great about going into next year is, with him specifically, is he's had so much experience this year. Got to see what it's like to prepare, because that's such a big difference when you're preparing as like you're the guy. to be successful on a Saturday.
Right.
And I think he learned that throughout the process too, compared to his first start at Penn State to Wisconsin of, okay, how can I do this better? How can I do this more productive that fits my needs better? The way I watched it is different. The way it's going to be different than how he watched it. And, that's something that we continuously had conversations on of like, how can you maximize it so that you can understand it the best? And that's something also that Coach Throck did a great job of, is getting him ready throughout the year to play his best ball. And I think when you just look at the Wisconsin game, like 319 yards, 2 tutties, huge third down run, like it showed. And again, his future is so bright.
Yeah. We had Newman on the podcast a few weeks ago, and he said last year when Ethan was on the scout team, he's like, there were a handful of weeks where we saw the best quarterback of the week was in practice, not on Saturday. And, he didn't mention names, but I'm sure over the course of, you see a guy that has that kind of arm, even on a scout team, you can make an impression, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I remember that. Like, we'd be in the locker room. Gibbons was my roommate, and get home and he'd be like, yeah, dude, Ethan shredded us today. And I was like, I'll pull it up. Let me see. And, would always go in there and kind of watch the throws because you
don't, as a starter, you don't get to see scout defense much, right?
You're separated.
You see scout defense, but you don't see scout offense.
You're doing your own thing, right?
Yeah.
Offense on this side, defense on that side. You're executing. You're focused on what you got to do. And so when any chance I could get to kind of watch his throws is pretty cool because usually, you're forced to throw to a certain guy. And it's usually pretty covered. But, it's a great opportunity to work on your accuracy and fit some balls in there, and he definitely did that.
Yeah, even I think sometimes, and you were that guy also as a freshman. I don't know if this happened, but I think there's times where the defensive coaches want you to throw to the defenders just to get them confident, right?
Definitely, especially on a fast Friday, the day before the game.
Like, don't shred them up on Friday.
Yeah, I remember, different coordinator then, but we would do 7-on-7, and I'd say, hey, do you want me to throw it to? And he goes, yeah, throw it to our guys. I was like, okay, all right. I'm going to keep you happy. I'll throw it to the defensive guys.
Yeah, yeah. And Knuth learned that this year as well,
Yeah, he did. Yeah. It's one of those things where, like, it's always funny when a guy goes on scout team and then comes back and you're stretching and they're just like, you got to throw it to the same guy. Like, I don't know what to do. And you're like, yeah, well, it's an opportunity to lead and an opportunity to work on accuracy when situations are definitely not the best. So you can always find ways to get better, and playing scout team quarterback is definitely something that you can do to continue to get better.
Yeah, and it puts an impression on the coach how you handle it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
it makes a huge impression.
All right, the injury, we don't have to get specific about it, but how hard was it to not be able to play and physically, kind of mentally both get through that part of it late in the year?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that for me, the day after it happened, my wife Sarah was like, "Well, you have to practice what you preach," and that was that football wasn't my identity. My identity was in Jesus, and that's where I drew my self-worth. And she was like, "Well, this is going to test you. Like, you got to." And there were days at the beginning where I was like, "Oh man, like I wish I could play," and it was so weird, at the beginning of not playing. But at the end of the day, like the coaches did a great job of keeping me involved, and I was, coaching on the field and finding ways to help out any way I could. And so I really enjoyed that. And it definitely was something that made me rely on my faith and rely on, who I am as a person, because, the football thing stops eventually. And I was, grateful that I got to interact with the guys that I did in that time and help out in that form to help us win games in a different way. Instead of being the guy pulling the trigger, I was helping the guy pull the trigger. I was helping the guys on the sideline, doing that kind of stuff, which, again, I enjoyed, and that was my role and maximized that. So
going through that part of it, the mentorship, the coaching part of it, I think PJ Fleck has talked about that, the day you decide you want to get into coaching, he'll find a spot for you. And, hopefully the Hula Bowl and the NFLPA and all this stuff leads to, a long, extended pro career. But do you think you'll be a coach?
I'm not 100% sure, but it's definitely something that I would love to do. And again, those types of decisions of what career you make and all that kind of stuff, it's not just me, it's my wife and eventually one day my future family. And that's what it impacts. But, I think it'd be something where I can make a great impact on people's lives and help change their lives. And I think I'd be pretty darn good at it too, personally.
Yeah, I do too.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
If I get into coaching, I know I'd love to keep doing it, to do it here at the U, and so we'll see. But there's a good chance that ends up happening. It really just depends on what road God takes me down. Who knows?
Yeah. And sometimes it might even, you want to make a decision, you want your wife to be involved, but it might be just circumstances and an opportunity you don't even know presents itself.
Absolutely. It's so funny how
then
life
you're going to be like,
sometimes.
okay, there it is.
Yeah,
there's the path.
Yeah, exactly. You might be going down one road and then, it's a U-turn and then it's a hard left to the path that you're supposed to be on, and you start to have success on it. So who knows what happens down the road for me. But, coaching is definitely something that I would be interested in doing, and could be a potential path for me long-term career-wise.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about real quickly. I've kept you already way too long. I'm sure.
No, man, it's a pleasure to talk to you.
Mrs. Morgan has probably got dinner ready, and she's mad you're late. And but you just came from a workout, so you're getting ready. Hula Bowl, as we tape this a week from tomorrow, we're taping on Friday, and then you've got the NFLPA All-Star game, I guess, for lack of a better term, later in the month. So those are two big opportunities for you.
Right.
Let's start at the start. How did the invitations come about? How does that all work? And then, how do you decide which game you want to play in and all of that stuff?
Yeah, I think it's different for everybody. Different for a guy like John Michael who's going to the Senior Bowl, and different for a guy like me in my situation. So to be able to get an invitation to go out there and throw the ball around, do it in front of some scouts is something that I'm thankful for, grateful for, and got the invitation through an agent, and so kind of both of those happen that way pretty organically. So again, opportunities that you go out there, you throw the ball around, see what happens, and something I'm thankful for that I get to be involved in those two games, and I'm excited to watch the guys that I played with play, and the East-West game play in the Reese's Senior Bowl with John Michael. So it's going to be pretty fun, and I'm excited to see those guys, man.
You leave Sunday for Orlando?
Yeah, correct.
And so are you there practicing for almost a week then?
Yeah, so it'll be practicing for a week and then playing on Saturday. Then I'll stay in Florida and then for a week and then train down there and then head up to California.
For that one. Same thing then, the similar practice.
Yeah.
So and that's where you can make an impression. Practice as much as the game potentially, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Getting to just interact with those guys, see how you can pick up the playbook and go execute it, and go out there and make the throws and see what you can do on the field.
Have you been able to talk to scouts or any personnel that have said, hey, we've watched you on film, here's what we see, here's where we'd like to see maybe improvement, or here's what we like, here's where, whatever, or is that what you're going to find out maybe next week?
I'm sure that's more stuff I'll find out next week, and that's something that I've always been very real with myself on what I do well, what I don't do well. Mm-hmm. And another great asset that, the U has here is Marcus Hendrickson, who has those relationships with guys and makes things a lot easier, because he'll tell you the hard truth, and that's something that is a huge asset, for the University of Minnesota, and he coordinates the pro day, talks to those guys. He was a former scout, so he's a huge asset.
He knows football.
Yeah, he's a huge asset to have because he's going to tell you exactly how it is. And so, I know him really well. We're birthday buddies. We got the same birthday, different years.
Recent
obviously.
though, right?
No, in April. So
not recent.
We're April 17th, and so, he's a guy that's been a great help and kind of just saying things like that and how to approach the next couple months. So it's been a great asset.
So that's been a good help as well. And also you just work out, right? Now you're training and
just get ready for it.
Is like for a running back or a receiver, even a linebacker, 40 times important and vertical jump and stuff. Is that, what are they going to care much about what that all is for a quarterback?
Yeah, I think it's important to a sense to show kind of what you can do, show that you're, where you're at and all that stuff, and really make sure it's not a ginormous weakness. But it's stuff that I'm going to prepare at, and keep getting better at, and I'm excited to see how that process goes, and then continue to just get better at throwing the football. That's something I'm pretty excited for.
We'll have to watch the game. I'm sure it's someplace, right?
Yeah, I think it is. It might be on CBS Sports or something like that. I could be wrong. I know the NFL games on the NFL Network. So
now, do you take the Gopher helmet? With now? Are you going to be one of those guys that puts all kinds of emblems on?
I'll keep mine pure.
You're going to keep the M or Goldie or whatever.
I'm going to have it in my office. I want the Goldie cutout on it.
You don't want like a Marshall logo on there or a Central Florida logo, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to put something gold on a maroon helmet. Or gold outside of our gold.
Your own gold,
yellow.
Yeah.
I like to keep it pure, man.
You're not. I'm guessing you're not going to put a W or a tiger hawk on that helmet.
No, definitely not.
No, for sure not. For sure not. Well, it's fun, and then you get to kind of. I know Mariano's going to be in the game you're in, Mariano Sori-Marin, and it'll be fun to, I'm sure, catch up and get to know other players from around the country too.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to play with those guys. Obviously, get to see Mariano and stuff. So it's gonna be a cool opportunity.
If you talk to the guys that you played with, or guys that maybe you've played against that have been in these All-Star games, as to what to expect.
Yeah, I have. Specifically Gibbons, because he played in the two that I'm
playing in,
slotted to play in. So kind of getting his experience on what to expect, how to prepare for it, and that's been a huge help for me. And just kind of his approach going into it and how that helped him. So I'm thankful that. Got a friend like that, a former teammate that can help me out in this situation. So it's pretty cool.
Well, man, it's been pretty cool to watch you develop and literally in this case, as we say, come in as a kid and leave as a man, married, hopefully on to NFL stardom here. You've got a couple of these All-Star games. You're an alum now. Yeah, it's been awesome, man. We do want to thank you as well. As always, our sponsor, Affinity Plus, has a $100 gift card for you as part of our player profile. But I know people have enjoyed watching, and I know they'll enjoy listening to you here on this podcast.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, Grimmy, and it's been fun to be on a couple of times on this podcast and talk to you throughout the years. So, hopefully that doesn't stop over the next couple of years. So, looking forward to it, man, and excited to see where this podcast continues to go.
Yeah,
and excited to see what happens with Gopher football. And future super bright. So.
No doubt. Well, when you're back, be sure to pop up in the radio booth and say hi to DT and I, and Guardsy on the sideline. You can punch him in the face if you want. Now that you're not,
I'll have to tell Guardsy what's actually going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Give him the real rundown.
No more guarded answers. No, you were always good. You were always good, man, for sure. But very good. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Right on. Thank you very much.
All right, there he is, the winningest quarterback in University of Minnesota history, Tanner Morgan. It's episode 52, the Go Gopher podcast.
My thanks to Golden Gopher quarterback Tanner Morgan. It truly has been a pleasure watching him develop as a player and as a man. Definitely one of our all-time favorites, and we wish Tanner the best of luck on a bright future. The Go Gopher podcast episode 52 is presented by Sunbelt Business Advisors and True North Mergers and Acquisitions. If you're buying or selling a business, visit sunbeltminnesota.com or tnma.com. We're also partnered with Affinity Plus Federal Credit Union, a locally member-owned full-service financial invested in you. You can learn more at affinityplus.org/Go Gophers. They also have a top-ranked mobile app to help you out. We also are brought to you by State Farm agent Tony Hoagland. Again, I'd invite you to listen to past podcasts, and right now, please be sure to subscribe to the Go Gopher podcast. Hit that button that says subscribe. It's absolutely free to subscribe and to listen at any time. Happy holidays to everyone out there. Hope you're having a great new year. Thanks for listening. We'll talk again next week.